Hi everyone, hope everyone is fine and okay. So like usual, it's Monday, and on a Monday we have the job that came in from our regular customer. This is some kind of small TV. It's a Telefunken model TLED-240 FHDC. That's the model of this TV. This TV was booked in as coming on, but no picture. We can see we do have this standby light here. Let's try to power on this TV. On. You can see the red light has changed to green, but we have basically nothing on the screen. Nothing at all. It's just black with a black screen. So either we have a backlight problem here, or the LVDS flex cable, the screen cable, maybe is not properly inserted, or is just jump out of the socket. I found many kind of these TVs. The flex cable just jump out of the socket, and the TV is just a slight flash. If I check closely, maybe you can see. Let me power off, on. There's just a slight flash with no writing. Yeah, just a slight flash with no writing. So let me open the TV and we'll check together what's going on here. This must be a very quick job. Now we are inside our TV. You can see the red light. Our TV is on standby. Let's power on this TV. On. Our TV is now on. You can see the green light. Fine. Now, the next step, I can't see like any bulged capacitor or anything damaged on the motherboard. Let's check some voltages. Backlight power supply, voltage 12 volts for this kind of TV. I believe this is the right voltage, because let me see this capacitor. I believe this voltage is fine. 12 volts. That should be fine. On the pin number 8 of the EEPROM IC, the BIOS, 3.3, the 5 volts is on. Okay. On the screen panel, on the LVDS connector, we have a power rail for 12 volts. After the fuse, 12 volts. So everything seems to be okay here. I think we have a problem with the backlights. So I'll take out the screen and we'll try to see how we can fix the backlight problems. Okay, let's see now. I just took the screen out, and now we need to focus on the LEDs. We do have the two strips here, the first one and this one. So the question is, how do you know which which LED is fault, because it's not all of them which are fault, but in most cases you might have one or two. So what I want to do, 12 volts. Remember, we checked there was 12 volts on the output of the backlights, and let me see if I can check something. And these strips are working with the 31.11. It's written here on the board. So it's clear that probably we just open this TV for nothing. But let's check. Because if this strip, they are working with 31 volts, 12 volts for sure cannot turn on the LEDs. Let's see. With the 12 volts, let's raise the voltage to 17. You see this strip? This strip? Check this strip. This strip is good. All the LEDs are working. Let's go on the other strip. Same, minus, plus, and it's good. What did I told you? So what is the problem? Coming on but no picture. I'm 100% sure 99% of you guys will say it's the backlights. But here we have a different scenario here. All the LEDs are working fine. We can check one more time. Check the top one. Plus and minus. And they are on. The bottom one is on. So we don't have problem with the backlights. We just open the screen for nothing. Let's go on the motherboard. This capacitor, which is filtering the voltage, is 47 microfarads, 100 volts. So 100 volts, logical speaking, cannot output 12 volts. It can't be. Here must have around 28 to 35 volts in order to turn those LEDs on. So what we will do in this scenario, what we will do, let's try something. I want to disconnect the power. What I want to do, let's try to connect these strips in parallel, and then we can see how we can modify the 12 volts to maybe 17 or something. I'll cut here, and we have to do this. So you see, this is something different. I was happy that is just the LEDs, but it's not. Actually, my backlights, they are okay. So what we have to do here, let's connect the minus to the minus. It's very simple. and the plus to the plus. Well, these strips that are connected in serial mode. So you need just to change from serial connection to parallel connection. Because why we have 12 volts on the output, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know why there's lower voltage there than the required voltage. Now, let's plug in here. Let's try to power on. On. And it's nothing. So it's not powering on for the simple reason it's not powering on for the simple reason we have 12 volts. Now I've disconnected the serial connection and connected to the parallel connection, and the next step is I'll show you what you have to do now. It's very simple. Very simple. I want to insulate these wires. Now we need something like, instead of 30 something volts to power on these LEDs, we have reduced the voltage to around the 17, 18, 19 volts. So let's go on the other side here. We'll do some slight modification here. Let's cut the wires for the LEDs. Let's disconnect the power. We don't want the power at the moment. So what we're gonna use, let me check for what we're gonna use. What about using this? What is this? This is the MT3608. This is a DC to DC back controller, voltage booster. So I'll connect this to the, you say V in, V in, V out, V out. I'll connect it to the 5 volts power supply. I'll connect to 5 volts power supply. So we need some wires here. We need some wires to do the modification. We need wires. You see this small thing? We are now modifying. So if you have this kind of back controller, the first step is to disconnect the serial mode, because the serial mode is consuming too much voltage. So the parallel connection will use less voltage. So what we'll do, we'll solder these wires on the input and try to modify the output voltage. That's our thing. And these toys, I bought these toys on AliExpress. It's very cheap. Very, very cheap. So on the input, we have two wires. One is ground, one is connect. We should connect it to the input voltage. In our case, we are using 5 volts. In our case, we want to use 5 volts. So don't get me wrong, this kind of fault, you can treat it in a different way. But I'm just showing you my way, how I will do it. Because here, the screen is not turning on, not because you have like a faulty backlights, no. Like the backlights, they are okay. We don't have problem with the backlights here. But we have a low output on the backlight power supply. The voltage which is supplying on the output of the backlights is too low to Let me stick this one on top of the transformer, just like this. The voltage which is being supplied is too low than the required voltage. So the next step is to plug in the power plugged. Let's power on the TV on. It's now on, you can see. Let's check what kind of voltage do we have on the output of this thing. We have like 14 volts. All we need is very simple. We have to adjust our voltage 14.15, 16, 17.49. Now, or what we can do, I think the best way, let's lower the voltage. Let's lower the voltage. We have a 17. Let's lower the voltage to 12 volts. Let's lower the voltage to 12 volts. 17, 16. 11.9. This is beautiful. Playing with some voltage and current, so let's disconnect the power. What I want to do, we want to come up with the wires which are going to the backlights. Remember, we have done the parallel connection there. So we'll be checking. We don't want the TV to be less brighter or more brighter. So we'll connect and we'll start to adjust until at a point. Where is my soldering wire? Until at a point when we have like good brightness. So all we need is to connect these wires which are going to the LEDs. On the output of our back controller. I think I made a review about this small toy DC to DC back controller, how it is working. If you didn't see it, you have to go to my videos. You see how this thing is working. So let's power on the TV. We do have red light on. It's now on, but obviously we don't have backlights for the simple reason that the voltage is too low. So we need to adjust the output voltage. Eleven, 12, 13. You see the lights? Check on these walls. Check, it's working. Check on those walls. You see those lights? 16. Let's see the brightness at 16. The brightness is too low. We need to raise these LEDs a little bit. We need to raise the voltage a little bit. We need to raise this voltage. 16 is not enough. The TV will be dim. Let's see at 17. I think 17 is the right voltage. So check here. We have the lights. Let's power on the TV. Power off. Maybe we can't power it off anymore. No, we can't power the TV anymore. Okay, that's good. Why is it you can't power it anymore? Because the LEDs, they've been connected to the, what about, yeah, the lights will be on all the time. But this is discharged by voltage, 5 volts. What we can do, should we connect to 3.3? One, you see, let's try to connect this to 3.3 volts. Let's try to connect it to 3.3. I'm just curious to see what our booster going to work with 3.3 input voltage. I'm yet to discover that. I'm not sure. So let's disconnect. We have disconnected the plus wire, the input from the 5 volts, which is always on, to 3.3. If this is going to work, that would be great. But I'm not sure about the input voltage range of this thing. Whether it is going to allow us to work with such kind of voltage. The LEDs are flicking. The LEDs are flicking and it's still on. It's still on. So what do we need now? We need a switch. What do we need now to ensure that if the TV is off, the LEDs will be off? Just to have a longer life on the LED. Because it seems as if even the 3.3 is on. Let's see. the voltages are on. I think something is not right, because the 5 volts must be on all the time, but not the 3.3. Off. Five. You know what I would do? Let's connect back to the standby. To the 5 volts for the standby. And we'll modify this. How are we gonna modify this? We need a switch. We need a switch here. You see here. Let's put a switch there, because I don't think the LEDs is a good idea to be on all the time. So let me look for the switch quickly. So what I will do, you see this switch, I'll connect this switch before the back controller on the plus, so that the LEDs, they won't be on all the time. That's not a good idea, because if the LEDs are going to be on all the time, they won't last. So let me connect the switch, and then I'll put everything together and we'll do the final test. So what we have done here, you know what the problem? You have to understand why a 100 volts output capacitor is only outputting 12 volts. I checked this. You see this MOSFET, which is switching this coil, which is on the output of the backlights. The coil is good, and the diode is good. If the input of this MOSFET is coming straight to the secondary stage of the transformer, probably something is not right there. But the problem, I don't know what the problem. That's the truth. That's the truth. Why here we have 12 volts instead of 33 volts or 31 volts in order to turn on this strip. So what we've done, the first stage, we change the serial connection to parallel connection, because each strip is being turned on with around 17 point something volts. Is being turned on with around 17 point something volts. So in order to get 17 point something volts, it's easy. The reason why I've connected in parallel was this back-to-back controller has a limit. I think the maximum output voltage is around 20 volts. So even if I put it on maximum without changing from serial to parallel connection, we can't turn on the LEDs. So that's why I have disconnected the serial and connect in parallel mode to use lesser voltage. And on the input, I've connected this switch. You see this switch, this one, that's for the LEDs. Check on the hose, on, off, on, off, on, off. So I'll put all together and we'll do the final test, okay? Yeah, I'm disappointed. I put all together and the TV is displaying widescreen for the reason which I don't know. But on the backlights, you see how we can modify things to bring the required voltage for the LEDs. So yeah, I can see on my OBS close to 40 minutes time wasted for nothing. See you on the next one. Bye.